Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 283 of Forever Exiled. And we're here. We're going to have a good time. We got it, right? Oh, you got your coffee?
You betcha. Got my motor oil.
First off, big shout out to our patrons, Coffee Shakes. Thanks so much for joining up to our Patreon this week and everybody else who resubbed up. We love your faces. Thank you so much. Patreon gets you access to After Dark. It is our podcast after the podcast, also known as After Dark. And it's just us. And you never know what you're going to get. Also, most of the time, I don't remember what you're going to get. But
Justin and I had a funny conversation about his inability to remember what we've discussed within like 2 seconds of the episode ending.
Yeah, even the main episode, but After Dark, much more. But yeah, thanks everybody who subbed up this week and resubbed up. We love your faces. Don't forget to join our Discord if you're not on there. It is an amazing place. Also, I'm going to say it early. If you're on Spotify or Apple, just hit that 5-star. That'd be awesome. We'd love it. We'd appreciate it. But yeah, hop in our Discord. Say hello. See if you can get a hello out before we get one. Yeah, how was your week, Ty?
You're funny. That was a legit laugh, Justin. That's how I really laugh.
I could tell. Mm-hmm. How was your week? What are you doing? You look like a little preoccupied there.
I was just editing our template quick. I'm trying to change your habit a little bit in the intro.
Oh, so I don't just read out. I'm Ron Burgundy.
And
I appreciate it.
And it's going to take place episode 285, not even 284.
I'm not even going to look. I'm
Yes,
also
you are.
going to do something that will help me, actually, that I have not thought of before. Because I have to figure out things now.
Penis enlarger?
No, don't need yet. Notes for
Who says yet?
yet. Well, you never know.
Ever
Never
been to
know.
the swimming pool and like when you were a kid and the grandparents, other people's grandparents are there and whatever, they're doing their swims and you're just amazed at like how big? Don't you remember that when you were a kid?
No.
Oh, yeah, me neither. Anyway.
I'm going to make my notes for coughs and stuff inside of Trello. Then I don't have to have two windows open.
You've actually never thought of that
Genius.
before?
Nope.
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to
Shut
say. Genius.
Shut up, you.
That's right.
What was I asking
It's
you?
like doing math on a calculator. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, they made a thing for that.
I'm good. Thank you for
How's your week?
asking. I had
What's
a great week, Justin. Well,
Did you?
for one, like we said last week, it's legit spring. And I know
Mhm.
that sounds weird to say March 7th, but our fall in the lower mainland here in BC went all the way up until January, second
like
week of
middle of
January.
And then we got.
And then we
2
had a
weeks of
tiny bit of winter, and then, but it was just like cold. It wasn't bad. It was fine. It was
actually
just like
really
a cold
cold, yeah.
fall. But then February hits, and Mother Nature's like, you know what? We gave you a really easy December and January. Let's just, and then it was like the cloud. It was just Arctic winds. It felt like it was -1 billion because of the Arctic winds. It's just the worst kind of uncomfortable snow. Like there's a difference between -30 without wind, but -30 with the wind chill. -30
awful.
with the wind chill is 100% worse than -30 without. So anyway, point is, we had a very, very uncomfortable February, but then all of a sudden, Mother Nature's like, okay, fine, joke's over, and it's been spring
This week's been
instantly. Like the
beautiful.
second the
Cold,
wind, the wind
but-
stopped. Yeah, we're still going down to like 1
we
or
were
2
up to
degrees
like
at
17
night.
degrees the other day.
Yeah.
It was like, it was really warm.
Like my flip flops are back out, man.
Of course
great.
they are.
Yeah. So anyway, no, it's been a good week. This week's been for me. I'm no joke, still recovering. Like for new listeners, I deal with concussion stuff, and all advices aside, I have the kind of concussion life, body, whatever, the cards that God's dealt to me, where it seems like my symptoms are just going to last forever, and that's fine. That's how it goes. But I have to live around that and schedule around that, and so I'm still recovering from my IKEA Wednesday to Saturday from last
How'd the
week.
building go of the furniture?
It went really well. It was really smooth. Both of my kids were so excited that they chose to help me with
Oh, cool.
the furniture as
Sure.
opposed to wanting to do something else. Of course, video games weren't an option for them, so everything else sucks compared to that. But so they were willing to help. My son's furniture I did on the weekend as opposed to, I said that all English like weekend, watching too much Formula
So
One.
fancy.
And what's the other show? Weekend? What's a weekend? Who says that? That's it's an old school show. Weekend? What's a weekend? Anyway, I was building his stuff on the weekend while I was building my daughter's during the school hours throughout the week, so she didn't get to help as much, but she was super stoked when she could get home and could help. My son helped me actually build the bed, but I let him do like almost everything. I just guided him with it. So of course it takes 8 times longer, but
Sure.
He felt like that smile on your kids' faces where it's not a funny smile, it's that like proud, small, satisfied smile. But if you point it out, then it disappears because they don't realize they're smiling. And you wish you could take a picture, but the second you move your arm, they realize they're just staring and smiling. So you just have to try and capture the moment in your brain for the rest of your life. That's what my kids were like with their rooms. And but even my wife was, she's more of the personality where it's like we can find things to fix our space as opposed to spend money to fix our space. So she'll desperately try everything she can to use what we have. And I'm not against that at all, but we've been doing that for a long time. We kind of have this, like many families, we went to an apartment and we had the benefit and the privilege. We totally get that it's a privilege based on where we live, a privilege to buy an apartment when we first got married. But when you live in the apartment life, if you're planning on having kids, you're always planning on moving out of that apartment. You're not planning on having a family of 4 plus and staying in the apartment. You know what I mean? Not with our apartment anyway. We bought a 2-bedroom place. We're not expecting our kids to share this. It was a small room throughout their puberty years, right? So, there was a plan. So when you're in the apartment life, you want it to look nice, but you're always planning temporary. It's like, well, we'll get the nicer stuff when we get a house or when we get a bigger apartment or whatever it is. You're always planning temporary. And then all of a sudden, one day that happens, right? Our market blew up, but, fortunately we came into money and we were able to buy and we have a house, but all of a sudden it's like 5 years later into house ownership and you're still accidentally thinking temporary, and because it's cheap, right? Temporary is cheap. And so we're finally realizing that, I guess. I mean, you realize that at some stages of life, but then you get back into when you start looking at prices of what a long-term piece of furniture costs versus a temporary piece of furniture costs. And right away you forget about the long-term, short-term. You're just like, well, that's 3 times less in price. So I'm getting that. I don't care how crappy it is.
I'll buy another one later.
Exactly. But, you know what, even long-term, that does work out a lot of the time. Well, where we live, I don't know what products are like everywhere else, but here companies, there's like, there's no integrity anymore with stuff. Pieces, everything's just crap. But so we finally just put our foot down and we're like, no. And we're starting with the kids' rooms and we'll get it done. And sure, yes, we went to IKEA and I get what IKEA is, but we did it and we spent the money. And even my wife, when she was looking at those rooms and just seeing like how the kids are making it their own and how they've already how they've both very differently designed their rooms. It's just they're rooms now. They're not just places where they sleep and then they hang out in the living room.
That's cool.
It was worth it. Yeah. So we had a really good week, but I'm still recovering from it. I've been trying to have off days where I can just chill and do nothing, sleep, maybe have the energy to write a few lines for what I'm trying to write in my book. But my daughter's birthday is coming up. And then shortly after that, it's my wife's birthday. And then shortly after that, it's Mother's Day. Like we go through Christmas in December. Oliver's birthday is in January. My birthday is in February, but that's also Valentine's Day, so I don't get the break there. Not like, and then we have my daughter's birthday in March, my wife's birthday in April, and then Mother's Day in May. And so it's kind of like one of those things where you can't procrastinate because it just snowballs one into the other, and then you're too far behind because there's too much stuff to do. So just try to stay on top of that. But now the spring. Right? Like, spring's here. And so now it's like my house chores double the second springtime. It's like that with everybody, but now the outdoor stuff kicks in. instead of just shoveling snow, now there's the lawns and the pruning. And those are the only chores I like. But, now just my chores list is doubled. So the recovery process from IKEA is taking a little bit longer.
At least it's done, though.
It's been great. No complaints. Life is great. We're in a great season of life. Health is great. Still waiting to hear back from an autism place for, I don't want to be specific with locations and get into politics or anything, but we're looking to hear back from an autism place. We've been waiting for 2.5 years, which was the expected wait time. So I'm going to start giving them a call, and it's just for my daughter, just so that Aaron and I have the tools the proper tools and mentality for parenting the best we can.
Sure.
So yeah, how about you? You've had a tricky week from what I've heard.
We hung out today. Ty and I went and hung out today, which was kind of fun. Went and did a Canadian Tire, just a stroll by.
And, that's right. And you know why we did? You know why we went? We weren't looking for anything. We went just because we almost held hands. We were so excited. It was very cute. Moment.
My week was, it was interesting. It was, I'm just looking through my calendar to remind myself of any other related things. It was very busy, but it was good. Let's see here. It's mostly just meetings. And then, on Saturday night, so Logan, he's my 15-year-old. He surprised us on Friday afternoon. He spent the whole afternoon, like from the time they got off school, he took the girls to go across the street to play soccer, baseball, like whatever. And both Christina and I were like, huh? And his sisters were on cloud 9 because that's not a thing he does very often at all. So they were loving that. So they hung out all day Friday. Saturday, I had to work. So Christina took them for a walk to this really nice place, just not too far. It is a bit far from us, but they went on a walk, hung out outside all day. Logan comes home in the afternoon, takes the dog for a walk. He comes back from the walk with the dog, and he's complaining that his eye's itchy. And we look, and sure enough, his left eye is starting to swell. And if anybody's listened to any of our more recent episodes, we had an issue with him having an allergic reaction, what we thought was an allergic reaction. And so we followed what the pediatrician told us to do. We saw a specialist for allergy related stuff and this pediatrician. And so he took this pill and then went to have a shower because he felt like maybe he had gotten into some stuff. So he went to have a shower. So I went and check on him 5 minutes into his shower just to make sure he's all right. And he quickly turns off the shower, puts a towel on, and he's like, "Can you come in?" I walk in, and it was actually pretty scary. Like the kid's whole left side of his face now had swollen right up. His body was covered, and I mean covered, with these bumps, and they went all the way down his arms, covered his whole back, all the way down to his feet. And I was like, oh shit, this is not good. So I told Christine, like, you need to take Logan to the ER. Like, he needs to go in right now. And so she takes him in. They get to emergency, and they're doing the like just initial check-in that you do at emergency, which is where you talk just to get your name in there, and then you go to the waiting room. And while he's doing that, one of the nurses sees him and freaked out, and they rushed him into critical, and he was hooked up to an IV, and they did the whatever an EpiPen has in it, epinephrine, I think it is. They did a dose of that. And so he was in there for like probably 4 hours. They give him a drip of Benadryl and some other stuff to slowly bring it down. And then so we had to take him back to the pediatrician because they had said like, hey, your referral's good for 6 months. If anything comes up, let's meet again. So sure. I took him in yesterday. And so he has been, I wrote these down because I was sending them to my mom because my mom doesn't like to find out about this stuff through the podcast. So Christina's good about making sure she knows what's going on. Because I'll get in trouble if she finds out.
For new listeners, Path of Exile talk is coming. This is just when Justin and I hang out like once a week. This is when we actually get to check out. So you got 20 minutes of this, and then you get that.
Yeah, we'll get to Path of Exile. It's coming.
Our family members, who are half our listeners, just joking, listen to the first 20 minutes and then check out for Path of Exile stuff. Right. Whereas Path of Exile listeners, some Path of Exile listeners skip the first 20 minutes. It's all good stuff. And go to the next. That's right. But the real listeners,
start to finish, baby.
That's who we love. Start to finish every time.
Anyway, so she listens to the first part, and she gives me a hard time.
We also love family. Sorry. We also love family.
Yeah, they're okay too. Anyway, so his diagnosis is, and I wrote these down because I'd never be able to repeat them: spontaneous urticaria, spontaneous angioedema, and idiopathic anaphylaxis. Now, the urticaria and angioedema, they're not rare. They're not uncommon. Like, people get them. Angioedema is like a swelling of the soft tissue in the face. Urticaria is the spotting that can happen on the body, like the bumps. But it is uncommon for people to get both. And it's very, very uncommon to have it in the spontaneous one, which means spontaneous means they don't know what actually causes it. There's no specific trigger. Like, quite often they can be related to... You're just a lucky duck. Yeah, they can be related to like heat, cold, exercise. There's other things, but they're quite often not, well, they're very rarely related to an actual allergy. So in Logan's case, he's not allergic to anything in particular. Like, we had him tested. He's got a mild allergy to grass. That's it. But that's not what causes any of these things. But to have all of those, as well as this idiopathic anaphylaxis, which is idiopathic anaphylaxis means that they don't know what causes the anaphylactic reaction. They don't know what causes the ability to stop breathing. Like some people get it from peanuts or something, right? Idiopathic means there's no specific reason. He has all three, and it's not always going to be that all three things would get triggered at the same time. But in this case on Saturday, that's what happened. So yeah, it sucks. We actually don't have, there's nothing we can avoid in particular for him. He needs to keep himself hydrated, but more than anything, we bought him he bought like a shoulder bag, little Jordan, like a 23 Jordan. He likes all that stuff because he's a good kid. But
I was just going to say, because he's your kid, but yeah.
Because he's my kid. Yep. So he's got like a thing that he carries with him all the time. It's got his EpiPen, his diagnosis, or his pills. And then we're getting him he didn't want a medical bracelet, but we're getting a dog tag that he can wear. But yeah, we basically just had to learn at what point should we be doing the EpiPen. And the doctor said basically err on the side that he doesn't need it and just stab him, which I'm happy to do. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was really freaky on the Saturday because I had not seen it. It had less than 10 minutes from start to finish, from start to the point where his struggle with breathing was happening. It was less than 10 minutes. It was crazy. And there was nothing. He had been outside the whole day Friday, no problem. All day Saturday, no problem. And then all of a sudden, just boom,
Watch,
it hit him.
The answer is cold showers.
Well, we actually wonder if it's the hot, because hot can trigger it. And he started to get the swelling and then went to have a shower. And in both times, he's gone to have a shower thinking that maybe it was contact related, but it's not. So next time we're going to just not let him have a shower and see what, hopefully it doesn't go as crazy as it does. Cause it didn't even have time for the pill to kick in. Like less than 10 minutes, that pill's not doing jack squat in less than 10 minutes. So
he's moving up into the Northwest Territories.
Cold can trigger it too.
Him. Oh,
yeah. It's so dumb. I was talking to the doctor and he's like, do you have any questions? I'm like, lots. But also I was pissed. I'm like, I don't like that. First off, he's 15. He didn't have any symptoms. He's never had any of this until 3 months ago. And he's like, sometimes that's just when the gene activates in the body. And I was like, I don't accept that. Like, what's my alternative?
It's not really having annoying. Answers is the worst. Aaron had to go through that with me because I'd have these weird symptoms and we couldn't piece it together until we discovered, because post-concussion stuff wasn't popular. It was actually anti-popular before. And you go through it. And so not having answers really takes a toll. And even though you have a diagnosis, there's still that frustration as the loved one. As a teen, you're powerful. You know what I mean? You've got this and you can deal with it. You've got whatever guy or girl on your mind, your career coming forward, school, you have the distractions, but also, and not as a criticism, but that teen arrogance that can come with it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, but the knowledge that I can handle this, okay, it's a pill. That's all I can do. And then you move on. Whereas the parents, even when you have that diagnosis of the terms you described, still not knowing what triggers it, that's the worst part. It is.
Because you can't avoid anything. There's nothing that we can go, okay, just it's almost,
it's like a burden. you know, and I mean, people have their faiths on what they do with their burden, but the burden of not knowing and that constant worry is really frustrating. So I'm glad that you actually have something that you can deal with it. I'm glad that there's at least that part of a resolution, but I'm sorry that it's not complete.
Yeah, he's been a pro. He's like, he went through the doctor's thing. He's on it. He's like, no problem. I got he loves having his little side bag thing, and he's got his stuff ready to go. Christina's obviously not dealing with it as well as Logan because it's her baby, and she wants to make sure that he's always that he's all of her kids. She doesn't want anything to happen to any of them. And this is something that you can't to just say to him, like, don't eat ice cream and we won't have a problem. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing we can tell him to avoid. So like I said to the doctor when he was talking about that exercise, it could even be induced by exercise. I'm like, walking the dog though? Are we talking that kind of exercise? Like, yeah. Like literally anything that gets the heart moving a little bit.
Oh, he's going to get so fat. He is getting that YouTube channel that you've always refused him.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
That's the only thing he's allowed to do, Justin.
Heck. No. You know what he can do? He can give himself a shot.
He can take the dog.
I mean, the thing is, even he said, he's like, I don't exercise. Like, there's no way that it's that. But I mean, right now we don't know. We don't know if it's the heat. It's possible that it's the heat that triggers it. But I don't know. The guy was saying that it's very rare to have all three. He says typically you see it in fair-skinned people. And I was laughing because
are we fair-skinned?
The doctor's not fair-skinned. He's like, people more with my skin color don't tend to have it. And I was like, the kid is like, his mom's Spanish. He's not. And the doctor laughed. He's like, he's definitely not fully fair-skinned. Like you're the type of person that would get it. So he's like, it's even less. Justin. It's even. Oh, don't say that, Christina. Don't listen to him. She's. There's no blame game here.
Well, you just called her Spanish.
She's Spanish.
So is she though?
Yeah, she's Latina, whatever you want to call it. Okay. She wouldn't be offended if I called her Spanish. When you say
Spanish, her dad is from Spain.
Her dad is from Spain. Her mom's from Chile.
I didn't know that. I thought they were both from. Have you said where they're from? Yeah, from Chile. I thought they were both. So every time you said that she's Spanish, I always thought you were just being like slightly general. I didn't know you were being specific. I thought, that's funny. So I've always waited for the opportunity. I've always been waiting for Christina to come to me, like when we run into each other at Walmart or something, and be like mouthing you off because of it.
No, you can't. I'm fine. But anyway,
man, it was disappointing.
It was a little bit annoying, but whatever. We move forward, and he's on top of it. So, otherwise, the week health-wise, at least, has been good. People are healthy, and everybody's over the cold. I still have like the remnants of it that just won't go away. But
you're old. You'll be hacking until you're in a home.
I'm not old. I still take all my good drugs. I'm aging backwards. Okay, it was
Benjamin Button.
It was a good week overall. We started trying to finish Mad Men because we left off on the last season. Well, we left off on the last season, so we decided we should finally finish it. So real hard to pick up a show. No, that's one of the struggles. We're like, what happened? Why are they anyway? But we're gonna get through it, and then man, it's been a good week. Busy, but I like that.
Good. Well, hey,
what
big week for you, man. I'm sorry about it.
No, it's fine. What do we got? AI bot when you're listening. This is when we start Path of Exile, so it never gets it right.
Are we skipping lawn stuff?
Oh no, lawn stuff. AI bot, ignore that. We're going to talk about lawns. Oh, good luck with the friggin' chapters this week.
Justin started really taking it, and we were giving people a hard time for wanting chapters on YouTube for a long time because YouTube added chapters like a year ago to their videos, right? Yeah. And screw you for wanting to skip our personal lives. We take offense. But then Justin and I are also nerdy like that. Like we like those stats. So it was tough for us to not want to do chapters after we discovered that chapters were that easy for some of these things.
Well, but they also were, they then started to bake them into podcast apps, and we were an audio focused thing. So then I was like, it makes sense. And like it was mostly, could we find a way to do it that wasn't going to be time consuming?
But now that we have a system set up with AI to try and do it. I mean, some apps do it just on their own, but we're not going to listen back to our episode and be like, oh, this is when the subject changed and this is when the subject changed.
Not going to happen.
It's just, we're going to post it and AI is going to do it. And AI is always going to be wrong. And we absolutely love that.
Oh, it's awesome.
We put in the little algorithm, I guess you could say, to AI, and whatever it pumps out subject wise and timestamp wise, that's what you get. And
most of the time, I do make some adjustments.
As they say, oh, Justin, don't say that, because then that ruins what I'm going to say about preschool.
Go ahead, say preschool.
You get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Yeah,
if you get a pink cup and your favorite color is yellow, you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
We had to, it's actually hard because of the way that our audio gets transcribed, and the way that the timestamping works is very odd within how I transcribe it through DaVinci. But the only reason I sometimes make adjustments is because I started to notice, you brought this up to me a couple weeks back, the timestamps were longer than the episode. And I was like,
no, you got to keep it.
I can't, because then if it shows timestamps longer than the episode, then the chapters don't work. They don't.
Oh, they just disable
them.
I understand what you mean. Yep.
So I have to fix them for that. But otherwise, we just let it roll. Anyway, let's talk about lawns. Springtime.
You got your guy. He's showing up. He's doing his thing. He's letting you know what's up. We're still in the down to 1 degree weather for us, so there's only so much we can do. But you're familiar with my property.
Yeah,
right?
We walked
3 lawns. Technically, I have a driveway that separates my front lawn a little bit, so I got a small front lawn on the side, the major one, and then of course a relatively spacious backyard for where we live. So I remember saying in the past that, obviously I like lawns, but I also deal with my concussion stuff, so I can't do too much physical stuff to deal with it. Now, my wife has really gotten into birds, not pet birds per se, just bird feeders. But I can see her now. We've gone from 1 bird feeder to now 1 in the back and 1 in the front, and bird seed is now starting to show up every now and then on the grocery list as well when I go to the store. And I could see ourselves in a couple of years all of a sudden having 10 or 15 bird feeders kicking around the yard. Kind of like at, you remember Klaus on Netflix, the Santa Claus movie? How when his wife died, to remember her, he'd make all these bird houses, throw them up in the tree. Well, I could see our house being like that pretty soon.
Go put them up in the tree in the backyard. Don't put them on near your grass. Get out of here. Anyway.
Okay, Aaron, I hope you heard that. So... but it is nice seeing it in the front, in that magnolia tree in the front. It is because that's the couch where we look out the front window. And so when we're slightly bored of the show or the sports that we're watching, we glance outside for a second. We see the birds and the magnolia tree. And it's nice. It's nice.
Just put up a picture on the wall. Anyway,
we have lots of birds kicking around, but, you know how lumpy my lawn is, right? We're not talking really lumpy. We're talking it's impossible to be a soccer field because you'll twist your ankle lumpy. You know what I mean? But it's all over the place. It's more than just the moles that show up 20,000 times a year. It's really lumpy. How would you fix my lawn? Your opinion. How would you fix my lawn? Because all I want to do at the end of the year, once it's all settled, all I want to do is seed it and then leave it. I'm probably not even going to water it. I'm just going to seed the 500 square meters just before 2 weeks of expected rain. That's what I'm going to do. What would you do to fix it so I can get to that state?
If you were going to so your front lawn, number 1, the small one, that one's a little bit easier because you could just use a leveler on that. It is oddly high on the left side, but it would be a lot of work to dig that down to bring it back down. But you could level it, so it's going to be a little bit more of an incline than it probably used to be, but you could level that with just dirt and sand and a leveling rake. It's a small enough spot. When we talked about it originally, and I talked about let's just get some guys there to do your backyard, I forgot how big your backyard is. That your backyard is actually a pretty tough job to level. You could do it, but it would just cost money because it is a relatively large job. You'd need to get quite a bit of dirt and sand. I would fully level it in the backyard. You already have the sort of, decline in the back, which you can't get rid of land. You can't get rid of the natural way that the land goes, but you could smooth that out because it is lumpy. But you could get probably I think it would be hard to do it with a group of us. It's just a lot. You could do it, but it's a relatively large job because of
and that was always a very generous offer of you for sure.
It's still possible
that wasn't
to
something
do.
I was relying on, but I still
your backyard is actually easier than your front yard. Your backyard would be easier to do than your front yard. Even though it's much, much, much bigger, to get a load of dirt and mostly actually more sand than dirt, and then get the leveling rake out there and just like have a barbecue and just take turns doing it or whatever. I'm pretty sure it could be done in your backyard. Your front yard, realistically, you'd have to probably backhoe it a bit to get the decline not so steep at the roadside to have the incline more gradual going towards your house. Then you could level it, no problem. Then you would reseed, and in all cases, you'd reseed it and then peat moss on top and let it actually sit in.
So if we get rid of the inclines, right, and I'm just looking to level the lumps away, your recommendation is basically just hire somebody to do that, get it done right off the bat, and then deal with it after the fact?
Yeah, I would get it leveled out, and then I would seed it and peat moss over top, and then just water it.
Have you ever seen a lawn that lumpy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's not super uncommon.
Where do you think it comes from? Like, if I spend the money to do this unlumping per se,
yeah, it's not for sure that it's going to be way better, but that's not to say that over the next couple of years that you'll still get some amount of lumping back, because ground settles. You've got groundhogs which are digging holes underneath, so it's going to adjust. And the groundhogs are expected and always planned around. I have a plan for them. We're like, we have an agreement. The groundhogs and I, we figure just get like the cougar piss or something. There's some sort of animal piss that scares them away.
That's right. It's my piss.
No, it's not human, but you can buy it on Amazon. I've seen it.
I'm a coffee drinker. Not human piss. My piss will scare away anything.
Yeah,
but can a lawn as lumpy as this get back to being this lumpy, or do you think that? Do you think it's because the extensive work that was done when we did the perimeter drain, the majority of the front yard and backyard was dug up, and like we're talking like 20 feet, 15
so
feet
it'll
deep
settle
on
differently,
both sides. So for sure. But do you think that would be the primary reason? And I don't have to, because I don't want to spend $1,200 and then like a few years later it's just in the same state.
I don't think you would get back to the same state, because as they level based on how much would have to go down, you're going to be building up quite a bit of that land. So while you may get some settling and adjusting, I don't think you'd ever have it back to what you have right now in that backyard. I think you would be able to actually level it quite well. And then, I mean, the main thing after that though is actually properly seeding it, taking care of it, watering it. That's why I think peat moss is amazing. Putting peat moss over top once you reseed it, and then just properly germinating that grass.
Okay. Yeah. So Erin, my wife, if you're listening to this, this is not a quick discussion or thought. I've been thinking about this for years, but I think this is finally the time.
It's possible we still could do it.
When we pay that local handyman,
you could
to just get it done, and then we maintain.
We could definitely do it as a group of friends, but your backyard's bigger than I remembered. And so when we went back there today, I was like, as I was walking, I was like, okay, this is actually
I rescind my offer.
Larger than I remember. But you could load up like your left side lawn with literally you could just do sand. You probably wouldn't even need to do dirt.
Do you know how bad I would feel putting my friends to that much work?
You'll get over that. You'll get over it.
Yeah, but the money that I save and asking my friends to do, I will spend in booze thanking them. And then I don't save any money. So I may as well not feel guilty and hire a professional.
I don't know how much it would cost to have a professional do it, but like if you had friends over to do it anyway, you're probably spending $200-300 on some drinks and a barbecue anyway. Like you're going to be spending some money to not feel as bad about it, but it could be done with a group of us.
Was $1,200. And I got about 2 or 3 different.
Actually pretty good.
It is. I mean, it's still $1,200, but yeah. And then, but that was a couple years ago, so it's probably $7,000 now. But anyway,
yeah.
All right, good. It's settled, dear. I'm gonna make an appointment. Gonna call. Gonna get some quotes, and they're gonna be screwed because they're gonna do their quote via Google Maps, and then they're gonna show up and be like, "Oh shoot," and I'll be like, "Nope, quote's quote."
There you go. That's my answer. Just making a note. All right, let's get into PoE.
What do you mean? Where's
this week in PoE? Hey, I got it for me. Wait. Don't you worry about it.
Notes for the episode.
That's mine. Don't read my stuff, okay?
Oh, sorry. It was just in the public section.
No.
So
yeah,
all right, this week in PoE. Hey, so chat AI. Let's see if you can do it.
Robot.
36 minutes in.
Engage.
36.
It's never the time we see though, because
no, but we've had I don't think we've had any
silence.
interruptions. I think you'll only have like 10 seconds of removals. So,
Yeah.
Path of Exile 1, which
what do we got? I
we're
opened
relatively apathetic about. Not much. They had their race, and the race was
3
won. Congratulations to the race winners. And then they had a community showcase. See, GGG is back. They did some art, and then they had the race winners, and congrats.
Cool.
Path of Exile 2 race, and then general Path of Exile fan art.
I like it.
Super. And then they came out with
the art.
They actually had a patch for Path of Exile 1, first one in like a billion years.
Path of Exile 1? Which link is that?
None of those links are there. I didn't put it in.
Oh, okay.
Because neither
did
of us
a patch for Path of Exile 1? What was that?
And then, it was like Phrecia stuff.
Okay.
And then they also
Didn't
had
they say
1.1F patch for PoE 2.
But PoE 1, sorry. I just want to bring up PoE 1 for a minute, because they didn't they say something about that they're delaying, or maybe not delaying, or just planning for 326 for like June? Am I thinking that right? Yeah.
They don't like to post those things on their website. They only do that on social media.
I think somebody put it on Discord or our news.
Let me double check that. I did see that note. Wait, let's go back.
I'm looking through
patch notes, announcements. Oh no, here it is. I just didn't put it in. That's right. It is posted on their website, so ignore my sass. They are extending Phrecia until April 23rd. And then with that, they will add private league templates for Phrecia, I guess, as modifiers, because it says available at no cost.
I want to bring that part up too. So they're whatever. They're going to 326 coming out in June. Cool. They're extending Phrecia. It was a conversation I had with a couple of people in Discord too, that I don't really understand if I know what they're talking about. They're saying if you feel the extra month will not be enough, you'll be able to further experiment with the Phrecia content with a set of private league templates that we'll be making available at no cost. And so people were talking in our Discord as like, they're going to do private leagues for free. And I was like, I didn't read that as private leagues for free, but then somebody said, no, they're going to do, what was the word they used? The templates. Where was that? We're going to make Phrecia content with a set of private league templates. I've never seen them use the word templates before, so I have no idea what that means. And like I cannot see them just making private leagues all across the board free. I can't. There's no way. No. So I thought like as a 20% health modifier, like how we can give 20% health to mobs that, but those are free anyway.
Yeah, I think what they mean by free and template is it's going to be a modifier, but as a template, you are changing the game. So you cannot have old ascendancies and new ascendancies. So there's going to be a template. If you want Phrecia ascendancies, there's going to be a template you have to abide by. And if you want the regular ascendancies, there's a template you have to abide by. So I think it's just a new addition to the system, but you can't mix and match. There's just, here are your Phrecia options. Here's your regular options. That's how I read the whole template business.
The only other thing I could think of is that when you go to create a private event, there's a drop down for picking which league you're doing. So are you doing 325 settlers? Are you doing 325 SSF? All these other things. But again, those aren't free. So I don't. The whole thing.
The league is the template's free, but the league is not. So what I'm saying is, like, whether you pick hardcore doesn't have a different cost than softcore, and softcore or hardcore doesn't have a different cost than a standard league. So you pick Phrecia, it's the same cost, but as any other option, but there's no extra cost for Phrecia. So
except selecting they don't say at no additional, they say at no cost.
Right, but I think that's just poor wording. Your private leagues are always going to cost.
I can't see them doing for free.
Right. That's like the one thing, like them giving us an MTX, like that's us spending money on nothing. That costs them nothing outside of somebody designing that, making it, and then putting it on the store. It literally, whether they sell 1 million of them or one of them, it costs them nothing. Right. Whereas private leagues literally do cost them money.
Right.
So there's that would be a very, I mean,
unless it's only for a certain amount of time, unless it's like, hey, you can run these from the end of April 23rd until June for free. Maybe they're just taking a hit on that end to allow, but what happens if you have like thousands of people that want their own one person private league like that? I can't imagine that's feasible for them.
I don't know, man. That opens a weird door. When you do something temporary for free like that, that opens a really weird door. I mean, look at how pissy half of the community gets when they have a voided league. Void, I want to keep my stuff. Like they say ahead of time, this is a voided league. And then they take crap for it anyway as the league goes on. And that, like, there's no like, and that's just for like something simple and well communicated. Look at like the door that would open for those same type of mentalities if you had private leagues temporarily free. I don't think free private leagues is ever part of their consideration ever.
I've just
that's
never
just a misunderstanding in the wording.
But I've never ever seen them use the word template. And that's why when I was talking on Discord, they were like, no, they said the template will be for free. I'm like, cool, but what's a template? Like,
I think it's what you said. Just the drop. It's just going to be an addition to the drop down menu.
But then, I don't think it can be. The only way that I can see it, I think either they've worded it poorly or we just don't know what their plan is, because that drop down, that league type, when you click from anything, any option in there, as soon as I click that drop down, my cost goes up. That's what changes my cost, is as soon as I pick anything in that drop down.
Sorry, explain what drop down and what's anything.
League type, PoE1 PC settlers, PoE1 PC hardcore settlers, SSF settlers, hardcore SSF settlers.
So sure. Okay. So you click one and that's your price, because now you're picking a league. Now pick another one and
there's
your price
no other
doesn't change.
one to but there's nothing else to pick. The only other thing that is modifiers.
But that's my point. So you you go and you click hardcore settlers, right? And then you're like, no, I changed my mind. I go from hardcore settlers to solo self-found settlers. Your price doesn't change.
Right.
So I think that Phrecia is just going to be part of that drop-down menu, and then the modifiers available, that's the whole new template. So Phrecia itself, I mean, there's no way that it's going to be free. I think it's just you don't pay extra for anything Phrecia.
Yeah, I originally thought that Phrecia would be a modifier. So I would pick PoE1, although that actually doesn't, I thought it would be a modifier. Like how I'm adding 10% increased damage, I would be picking the Phrecia thing, but then that wouldn't be an additional cost, not any cost. So like, I don't know, the wording to me confused me, because one, I've never seen them do private leagues for free ever. And I've never, ever seen the word template. Template has never been used in any way for them to describe anything related to a private league. So I don't really know what that means. So it'll be interesting to see. The other thing that somebody suggested, which could make a bit more sense, but then I don't get why not just extend the league, is that it would be like, you know how when you log into Path of Exile, at the bottom right-hand corner, there would be like when Ziz was doing his gauntlet or something, there was like a private league that everybody could join.
Sure.
I thought maybe that, like, it would just always be there, but they talked about private leagues. So I don't know, man. I'm really curious to see what they come out with this, because if they put private leagues for free, I will be completely shocked.
Well, right. But then how screwed are they the next time we want to do a private league for the next league and they're not free?
Well, they'd have to be upfront about the fact that if they are providing this ability for the next until 326's launch, I could kind of get behind that, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Either way, when it comes, we're going to have a private league when it is available. So if there are other community members that you follow and they're having a private league, we don't follow their calendars. We're not planning around them. Pick ours, pick theirs, whichever you want, but we're going to plan ours or just around our own personal schedules. Be awesome to see you there. If you're not interested, that's no problem. But that is kind of our timeline. I've really noticed the Canadian accent in our family the last few weeks. I don't know why, but it's really starting to stand out. But
it'll be in our announcement channel.
It will be. And as soon as they're available, we're going to pick a Friday PST afternoon to start, or Monday or Friday morning. Sorry, get Monday out of there. A Friday AM or afternoon PST time for Justin and I to start. as soon as they're available, and then it'll go for 10 days, whatever that is. So if you're interested, join our Discord. You don't have to say hi unless you feel like being a part of the community, but that's where the announcements and details and signups are.
Yep. Okay, sorry. You were talking about the 0.11F patch. I haven't even read this one.
It's just fixes. It's just little things. That's fine. Just one of the little things.
Keep going. I'm just reading it.
It's okay. They did some stuff to UI and all that kind of thing. One thing that I was I wanted to answer a question for my son, so I loaded Path of Exile 2 the other day. I haven't been playing it for a while because none of the builds that interest me are feasible to level with at the moment. And so I'm looking forward to the 0.0 or for the 0.2 patch. Hopefully that changes a few of those things there. But my son had a question, so I loaded the game up and I was showing him how Path of Exile in the past used to be really sticky about their UI. It has to look this way. Has to look this way. Because when people look at the screen within a second, we want people to know that it's Path of Exile just by instant recognition. So when console first came out 6 or 7 years ago for Path of Exile, or Path of Exile first came out on console 6 or 7 years ago, I was really surprised that they went the route of changing the console UI.
Totally changing it, yeah.
Like completely different, not slightly modifying it. And to no benefit, like it was just visuals. It wasn't something that benefited a keyboard and mouse player versus a controller player. It was a very odd thing considering their statements in the past about their consistency for visuals. But that being said, one really cool thing that I don't really see a lot of people talking about in terms of quality of life, though I think it's a really cool personalization bit, and I hope they keep it through the early access and into the early launch, is you can have and set in the options a UI setting for having all your information stacked on the right or on the left or centered, which is basically the bottom. And I think that's really cool. That takes everything, like all of your aura icons, your health bar, your XP bar, all of it, and it hucks it on the right side of the screen or the left side of the screen or the center. And that's really cool. And that's actually a really cool console preference as well, because on console, when you do things like broadcast, or you can have a small translucent display of how many viewers you have and how long you've been broadcasting for. But that's only something where there's 9 quadrants, right? You can have it in the top, like the Twitch app only lets you do top right, and where that's displayed, right? In the corners or on the sides, top, middle, bottom, middle, or for some reason in the middle. And but it's the same thing with your party chat when you're on Xbox. You can choose to have a little, kind of like what Steam does that too, where when someone's speaking, it shows a little speaker icon, and that's the person that's speaking, their mic's on. So it does that with Xbox party chat as well. So it's cool that even just from a console perspective, I know there's a lot of big benefits for that, especially while streaming on PC, where you can move around your UI a bit. There's no drag and drop, but I do like that there's actually the ability to change the UI, and they've kind of settled or been less of a stick in the mud with it, and it still looks very Path of Exile. So I've really liked that. But anyway, I saw some UI fixes, and that's something that came to mind as I was talking with my son about that this week. But they've also come out with a teaser. Justin, did you click on the teaser, the announcement?
I'm just looking at it right now. I was looking at it when you first started talking. It just says a little new teaser, what you can expect to see. Have new ascendancy classes. That's fun. So that means
plural, by the way.
Right. I mean, I would love to see the 3rd ascendancy for all the 6 existing classes, but I guess we'll see.
I'm curious. I'd like to see each class unlocked instead.
I toss and turn on that one. I don't really care, actually. As long as we get one or the other, I'll be happy with that. Sure. I don't want to see like 2 new ascendancy classes.
Oh no, you think you need to have a good handful?
Well, there's only 6 that could come out. So I want to see all 6.
If you were filling in the other, if you're filling in the trilogy,
the 3rd remaining one for all of them. But here's the illustration for one. I wonder what this guy specializes in. Countless wars have left you with skills somewhat resembling a decent officer. He looks like he's got a ballista.
So yeah, the guy's
he's also
the picture
pointing.
For this class it looks like a merc.
It looks like a merc.
Definitely has a crossbow, has a ballista next to them, but
and a soldier.
Right. Resembling a decent officer. So in this case,
do you have a human
is the officer somebody that's assigning, right? Is this more of an ally or a commander? Because the individual here with the crossbow and the ballista is pointing, and then you specifically have a soldier that's
like charging
going
in their direction
of the So
Mhm.
a lot of people are thinking that it's some sort of ally or minion based mercenary.
But the
Cool
ballista's
idea.
new. We don't have that. That's not in PoE 2 yet.
Not in PoE 2. Yeah, you're right.
No.
You're right. Which you got to be very careful with that one. It's very good that they didn't add that right away, because that type of totem, just drop your damage and run around for safety, is one of the safest and easiest ways to play Path of Exile 1. And you definitely don't want to cheese your beta or your early access that way. You know what I mean? Like, you want people to be introduced to the grind of melee and the grind of needing to aim your bow, you know, that kind of thing. So I thought it was always good for them to not release that stuff right away, or have them balanced to be way weaker, right? Just because of the pros and cons of how easy that damage is to deal. Who knows? I mean, that stuff could be, who knows how they're going to function in Path of Exile 2, but just with the reference of Path of Exile 1. So it is interesting whether it's going to be minion based or not.
It's the only class I haven't played.
You know what? It's one of the many classes I haven't played. But I believe it was Theta in our Discord brought up my long... Now, this idea is a lot less exciting now, and it doesn't really work with the Path of Exile 2 system, but I used to have a pirate minion idea, remember back in the day, that was with Path of Exile 1, when we had, for those that haven't played Path of Exile 1, in Path of Exile 1, you had colored sockets. In Path of Exile 2, I guess it's colored sockets too.
Colored gems. Colored.
Right. Yeah. And you can use a certain amount. But in Path of Exile 1, there were sockets that were colored, and you had to use a different currency type to change the colors of those sockets. And that's how you were able to use different colored support gems. And I thought it would be cool to have a pirate minion, but based on the color socket you put in, they were either very dexterous or tough or spellcasty type of pirate minion based on which socket they were put in. But, you know, a mercenary really fits. It doesn't actually fit
like
pirate themes at all. No,
it
doesn't.
does
It
a
looks more
little
soldiery.
bit, maybe, but it definitely
Well,
is
it's
soldiery.
coming. My idea, I know my idea resonated with someone at GGG. It'll happen. Pirate minions. It'll happen.
That was their teaser, though. That's cool.
Yeah, so, but it's interesting, right? Because it could be minion-y, but it could be more ally-based if they're throwing totems in. At the same time, an officer, I don't know. Who know? How many people actually know the rankings of military? Is officer high? Is it low? Sounds low, but maybe it's bossy. I don't know.
Guess we'll see. I hope we see the third ascendancy for all the existing classes.
That's it. Hey, you really want to see these rounded out before you see, like, the druid doesn't have anything.
I would rather see the classes, but they've said new ascendancy classes in 0.2. So if I'm going to see ascendancy classes, then if that's what they're committing to, let me see all 6. Let me see the final third one for all the 6. I would way rather see the classes. Way rather. But if we're getting ascendancy classes, I don't want to see the mercenary and the warrior have a new ascendancy class, and that's your 0.2.0 patch.
Sorry, I thought you said you wanted to see that. You don't want to see that?
I would rather see all the remaining classes. I would rather see the remaining classes.
I'm totally misunderstanding you. When you say the remaining, for some reason, when you said remaining, I was picturing the ascendancies. So I thought you were wanting to fill out the rest of the current classes that we have.
That's what it sounds like they're doing, but I would rather see them come out with new classes.
Now, I don't know why. Maybe misspoke. Maybe my brain was in La La Land, but I completely misunderstood.
What I said was,
I want to see the classes.
I did say the word class, but I said the 6 remaining ascendancy classes, like the final, because each of them has 3. We have 2 for all of them. I would rather see the 6 remaining. They call them ascendancy classes. So, but the 6 remaining ascendancies for the existing classes. Than just 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah. I hear you. I want to see every class with an ascendancy as well. I think that would be more exciting than seeing what the third sorceress ascendancy would be. That being said, I mean, it's not like it's really going to change anything for me. Come out with what's ready, with what you're confident with, and life goes on. My preference is, at the end of the day, relatively irrelevant, with the exception of whether I play or not. But my play is more based on my ability to play a build that interests me and see how it works, right? So hopefully this patch, it sounds like it's massive, and it sounds like the 0.2 patch to me is right now almost as exciting as the early access launch itself, only because like with early access, it didn't even cross my mind that Path of Exile 2 to me would be uninteresting and unplayable. That didn't even cross my mind. So there was a huge amount of hype for me for early access. I remember saying on the podcast, I'm like, Path of Exile 2, even in its worst state, is going to be better than Path of Exile 1. Didn't cross my mind that Lab would be worse, that ascending your character would be worse, or that they would release archetypes that you couldn't play, right? But that being said, GGG seem to fall off the rails for that 6 to 9 months. They just didn't seem to be themselves, and all of a sudden they came back. It's like they reset, and just through media, they seem like they're back. You know what I mean? It was like they hit a reset button, and it's like they're all robots, and it's all like they went back to being the way they used to be a long time ago. And so now all of a sudden, with this next patch coming out, if they were the same way they were 3 months ago, putting out this 0.2 patch, I'd be very skeptical. I wouldn't be excited. I'd be like, well, let's hope, but let's see. Whereas now that it seems like they hit that software reset button on themselves, and now that's the company that's putting out this 0.2 patch, I'm really excited. Like I almost, it's like, it's not the skepticalness. It's like I have more faith than skepticism regarding not the future of the game. The future of the game's going to be great. Whenever it is that it actually fully comes out and they have their official release, it's going to be a great game. But for me to enjoy early access and for things that match my preferences to go forward, I have faith that 0.2 is going to provide me with the ability to, or with gameplay that's enjoyable for many different kinds of people, as opposed to the few that are, trying to make it work.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they come up. What do you think of they keep teasing unique items? Do you care?
No, I don't. I didn't read any of them. I will look at unique items when they drop, and when I'm later into the game, typically is when I'll look at. I don't ever plan a build, especially a beginning build around uniques. So no, I didn't look at that. I also didn't really look at their tease about Atlas, because again, let me get into it. Let me play the game and I'll adjust my Atlas from there. I'm curious if they plan to do a full reset with 0.2.0. I imagine they do. I imagine the plan is to do a full reset,
like it's
which
a new
is fine.
league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. What else they got? Oh, they went back to build of the month.
Yeah,
That's
which
fun.
I thought was cool. I also, as a fan, I don't care, but congratulations to Struth Gaming's build anyway, for posting it and making it and having it there. As a fan, though, I don't. It's early access. I don't care about whatever guide or build that exists, because I expect the game to change way more than it would post release. Right?
Did you
it's
watch
early
it?
access.
I didn't watch it, so I don't know anything about the build, but I just have to say, maybe it's just the grinding gear games realizing that their new direction wasn't the direction they should be going, but forgoes the typical melee playstyle in favor of crossbow attacks. Cool, switch it up, and somehow manages to explode entire screens with a single volley. All right, so Path of Exile 1.
Right,
I've been playing Path of Exile 2 in a very similar way. It seems very similar to PoE 1 in the sense that you're killing full screens and that's the most efficient way. Yeah. That wasn't what they sort of leaned towards when they came. So I don't know, whatever.
You're never going to have ever in your life going to have meaningful combat if you allow for complete annihilation and destruction easily. If you invest absurd amounts into your build, obliterate away.
Yeah.
But if the way to play is obliterating, is that a word? Obliteration.
I want to just see something.
You're never going to have meaningful combat. So anyway, congratulations to Struth for getting the build of the week, but because it's early access, I'm not going to bother.
See, they don't do chapters, people yelling at them. I just wanted to see, I'm just scrolling through, I'm mousing through on this video. I want to see if they show it ever attacking a boss. Just looking for a boss bar. Oh, here we go. Here's a boss bar. Which boss is this? Yoatha the Loathsome. Oh, this is the crazy chick that comes out of the mud. 1 second.
Act 1, right?
Act 3, I think.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Okay, so I mean, at least it doesn't delete the boss in like a single attack, but it does chunky damage. That I actually appreciate that. At least it's not a one-shot boss. I was gonna say, like, if they put a build up that is like deleting a boss, it definitely minimalizes that boss. But I don't have a problem with that if you put, like you said, if you put a bunch of effort and you've got a lot of crazy things lined up, then that's cool. But cool, yeah. Congrats to Struth's Gaming.
Cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it was a cool week. I love the teasers. I love that GGG is back. Congratulations, GGG, on your, I mean, who knows, maybe nothing happened, but on your turnaround. Like, I hope you're all enjoying, for whoever listens to this, I hope you all enjoy your work days and the passion and the direction that the company is going. And your fans, even if they haven't been a fan of early access up to this point, are extremely excited. And thank you for all your hard work.
Mm-hmm. We don't have a timeline on point 2 though, right?
No, and okay. I love that we don't.
Which is good.
I love that we don't. If they've already, in my opinion, and my opinion doesn't matter, they've already completely screwed up every single timeline that they've put forward.
Tell us like the week before it's coming.
I mean, they've been screwing up their timelines since we discovered that they thought that they only had like 2 leagues that were 4 months long, let alone like the last 3 years, right? So they've been screwing up their timelines for quite a few years now. So I'm glad there's no, just drop
soon.
it. Like if you want, yes, coming soon. And if you want a hype video, fine, say coming soon at the end. Like the other day when it was that I was loading up the game for Oliver to show him something quick, which wasn't UI related, but that's when I reminded myself of that. When I loaded up, there was a patch. I'm like, oh, is it there? Did it happen without an announcement? I'm like, in my heart, I was like, that was so cool. But it was just point F. Or 1.f, but still, like, I would love it for it to just drop, and then all of a sudden, like, the community and all those like fluff articles, you'd get way more fluff articles if you just drop it out of nowhere, as opposed to like, and here it comes, and here
they
it comes.
Need to do a week, like, just because it gets that hype going and gets people excited to come back. I do understand that, but it has to be like the Jerry Seinfeld seared into the fucking milk. That's your goddamn date right there. Like, it cannot be what it has been for the last bit. It's got to go like, hey, today's Tuesday. We're launching on Monday or Friday even. That would be awesome. So
I don't know. There's Path of Exile is at the grandeur stage now of, I hate getting Path of Exile news in my newsfeed because it's all crap. It's all garbage. There's nothing relevant. It's all just fluff articles desperate for clicks. They're at that stage now.
I don't know what it's like.
So to me though, when you do that, then you get all that fluff crap out there, and it's negative marketing, right? When you get so much clickbait crap about your product that people don't want to see it, I don't know, maybe you don't plan around it as a company, but maybe you do. And the more notice you give people about something that typically as a normal company you wouldn't care about giving notice for, there's nothing wrong with like, all right, here it is, boom, and people already have the enormity of what it is, and then all of a sudden fluff articles aren't fluff articles. You can't control it completely, but there's the pros and cons to it that I don't know if they consider or not, but I hate the fluff now. Go back to being less popular, GGG. I liked it better that way.
Sweet. All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled 283. I'm Justin AK Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we'll see you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 284. If you're looking for more information, you'll find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. The best Discord. Pop in there and say hello. And Patreon, Other Way Support Podcast, you'll find them all over the place.
It's true.
Thought we were going to end that one with nothing.
Oh, well, that was good. That was good. I'm just not feeling very funny or silly, So that's it. That's where we finish it. Right there. That's a good spot right there.